The God of War Ragnarok New Game Plus update just dropped out of nowhere, and it added a ton of new content including the cloak, new armor sets, new skills and changes to bosses, a higher level cap, and a lot more. Like, this is the biggest update for the game by far, and it's pretty awesome. So to start New Game Plus, it's actually very simple. You just go to the main menu, then scroll down to New Game Plus, and then pick the save that you want to load as your New Game Plus save, and then it'll have you overwrite a saved game to start on. And even though there's all of these new features, probably the best addition by far is being able to skip cutscenes. I mean, you still have to go through some of these slower paced things like following someone around or some of the real-time cutscenes that are unskippable, but it helps a ton to be able to at least skip some of them. New Game Plus introduces a bunch of new ways to level up your gear, now having up to level 10 gear, but really it's more like level 12 because you have level 9, then you convert it over to level 9.2, 9.3, and then level 10. All of these upgrades will require a few new crafting materials as well as some old ones. The new ones like the celestial fossils, I keep wanting to call these celestial dragons. And then you have mountain roots, which both of these seem fairly easy to get. I'm only about halfway through my New Game Plus playthrough and it seems fairly easy. I've gotten both of them from legendary chests as well as some mini boss fights. Like the first Dreki gave me a mountain root, and you'll need these at least for the level 10 upgrade on your armor. And I think I got the first celestial fossil I found from the first legendary chest you come across in the Arvangar wetlands in Svartalfheim. Primal Flames, also a new resource in the New Game Plus update, can be found very similarly, where it seems like you'll get most of these from mini boss fights as well. Like I got one from Alva towards the end of your first visit to Alfheim. Gilded coins will be rewarded to you for converting a piece of armor or weapon to the new Plus version. So when you level up a piece of gear to the max of what the base game was set to, and then convert it to the new Plus version, you'll be awarded a Gilded coin, which will be used in the shop as well. So a pretty massive addition to this update is the Enchantments, which just about all of these new enchantments come from the different armor sets abilities that were engraved into them in the base game, as well as some of the shield ronds. So now, if you really liked one of these abilities that were on a piece of armor or a shield rond, but you didn't really want to switch to that specific one, you can just purchase the enchantment and stick it on your amulet and you're good to go. This is just another change that's going to add on hugely to some of the builds that we're now able to make. Besides Brock and Sindri's shop where you can purchase some of these, you can also get some new enchantments from the Berserker boss fights, which I'm assuming is where we'll find some of the better enchantments. Not all of these enchantments are good though, as they've given us more ways besides the difficulty to make the game harder, as some of these will now give Kratos different debuffs called burdens, like this one where Kratos will freeze each time he dodges. I don't know how many of y'all are going to choose these to torture yourself with, but if you do, you can show proof of what difficulty you're playing on and the amount of burdens that you're currently using by going into your settings. I mean, if you're going to go through all of this, you might as well show it off. And yeah, like I said, we finally have the cloak to use in Ragnarok, which was probably the most highly requested feature, called the Armor of the Black Bear, and you'll start off with this variant as soon as the game starts, no longer losing it in your first encounter with Freya. Though I'm not sure why they lock it behind the gold variant. As far as I can tell, you can't just use the cloak with the original armor, it's attached to the gold piece, which in my opinion, the other one did just look a little bit better. The Black Bear Cloak Armor gives a longer amount of time where you're immune while dodging, and if you dodge at the last second, it'll shoot out some Bifrost shards. The wraps and waist piece each give 20% increase to damage after dodging, and using both of them at the same time will give you 40% more damage after dodging, which is pretty crazy. So now whenever you dodge, if you time it correctly, you're shooting out some Bifrost damage, and then your first hit right after that dodge is going to deal 40% extra damage to that Bifrost effect. I'm excited to test all of these possible builds out and find the strongest ones, but this is already pretty tough. I think what's funny here is if you watched my video where I played with the cloak as a mod a few months back, the blades would clip through the cloak, and they still do that here as well. You really won't notice it most of the time though. So what's really cool is the Spartan Armor, or Shirtless Kratos. Probably the more lore-friendly armor out there because it doesn't really do anything. And that's pretty fair considering it doesn't contain much armor other than the waist piece. You can purchase the Spartan Armor from Brock and Sindri's shop for hack silver, and by the way, if you want to wear this armor or any other armor out there on top of another set like a transmog, you'll only need it leveled up to the regular base game max level of 8. I believe there's also some sort of progression that you need, like I think in the first couple of hours you're not able to transmog, at least it wasn't letting me. Then you can change whatever armor is at level 8 to look like another. And if you're grabbing the Spartan Armor, you might as well grab the Spartan Shield, as it'll unlock the same way by purchasing it at Brock and Sindri's shop for hack silver. It does have a decreased parry window, so it might take a little bit to get used to, but once you do, it's totally worth it because it gives you a stronger special counterattack afterwards. So it's one of those higher risk, higher reward scenarios. Of course, we also have one of my favorite God of War armor sets out of the entire series. It's the Ares armor set, which is probably a lot of people's favorite armor set. You may remember Kratos wearing it in God of War 2, but they brought it back again for Ragnarok, and it is just beautiful. You can obtain it from Brock and Sindri's shop, just like we did with that Spartan armor. The Cuirass of Ares is going to make it so that rage hits based on your luck has a chance to drop a health stone, but also makes it so that when you pick up those health stones, you will also get rage. And picking up any stone will trigger a bigger explosion, stunning any of the enemies that are near you. With the gauntlets in the waist piece, if you activate your rage when your rage meter is full, each of them will increase all of your damage done for a short duration by 25%. So if you're wearing both of those at the same time, you get a 50% damage increase. It's pretty crazy. So yeah, I could see this being used for some powerful builds as well. Like, I haven't thoroughly tested it out yet, but just from the bit that I've played with it, it seems like it can be pretty wild, since you're increasing damage by 50% if you activate rage after it's full. So just let it fill up each time you use a bar to keep increasing your damage by this massive amount. With that chest piece, you're also refilling your rage faster to keep that damage buff going. Just like 2018's God of War New Game Plus update, the Zeus armor has been added, and I obviously don't have it unlocked yet because the requirements take a bit of time, but you can see a glimpse of it here from a GIF that PlayStation posted, and the Zeus armor sounds wild, but also familiar to a certain ability you might remember from the base game, where after using a relic, Kratos would deal more damage, but also take more damage. Well, that's the same with the Zeus armor, except it's constant while wearing this set. It has nothing to do with using a relic, you just deal more damage but also take more damage. You unlock the Zeus armor by defeating the Valkyrie Queen Na, and then also doing some specific remnants of Asgard. I'll have another video up soon once I do unlock Zeus's armor, so stick around. But fighting the Valkyrie Queen Na will be a bit harder this time around, as they've buffed both of them and given them different moves that you'll have to get used to. So I don't think you'll just hop in there and stomp them around again because you know their moveset. On top of those two bosses being changed, they have also changed a couple of other enemies around with new attacks in New Game Plus, but if you're playing on Give Me No Mercy or Give Me God of War, it's going to be even harder, as the mini bosses will now have runic armor and have the ability to transform into an increased power level, making them even harder if you thought that was at all even possible. So you'll then have to play a bit more strategically. So yeah, based off that, if you're using the Spartan Armor set on Give Me God of War difficulty with a bunch of burdens attached, you can make this game insanely hard. The New Game Plus update also brings us 13 new looks and appearances for armor sets that were already in the game, some of which you can grab right away, and some will be hidden, taking a little bit longer. You'll see that the Dragon Armor has 2 new appearances, one of them looking a little bit more natural than the other, and some of these armor transmogs are just really awesome looking. You can purchase all of these at Brock and Sindri's shop with 20,000 hack silver, or somewhere around there, except for the Berserker Armor, which I have yet to see because it's hidden behind completing the final Berserker boss fight in New Game Plus. So yeah, once you complete that King Rolf boss fight on New Game Plus, as far as I know, according to the patch notes, it's any New Game Plus difficulty. It doesn't have to be Give Me God of War. You'll get the Berserker set. This update has also added in a new arena. Well, it's the same arena in Niflheim, but with some new additions where now you can choose to play as either Kratos or Atreus and fight alongside Freya, Brock, Sindri, Angrboda, Ingrid, Thor, and Thrud. So yeah, there's lots to keep you busy throughout your New Game Plus gameplay and a lot of content added to this update. I'm excited to finish up my playthrough and see if there's anything else hidden around the game, as well as unlocking that Zeus armor. I'll have another God of War Ragnarok video up soon, so stick around. See ya.